I'm very happy to be with you. This evening, I will speak about how to deal with challenges in life. That I know that more and more student life or professional life, when you are young, it becomes always more demanding and demanding. Maybe many things that are challenge for us. You have to show you are in your professional life or in school that you are at the mark, because situations become very difficult sometimes. At your work, if you are not producing or meet the expectations, then someone else is waiting to take your job. Or there may be issues of immigration, things, deadlines you have to meet, so many things. So we see in this world even young people become stressed out. There may be relationships issues, so many issues to deal with. So these are challenges of life. But if we start practicing spiritual life, then it becomes more easy to cope with it. Because many of these troubles, they come from the mind, especially. That so many disturbing emotions like fear. Fear may be there. That's fear to fail, fear to be rejected. So many kinds of fear. But how to overcome it? Most people, they take shelter of trying to take countermeasures, trying to balance so many but finally they are bound to fail, because these challenges, these difficulties are part of material life. We cannot avoid them. But how we deal with them, that's up to us. And today I want to share with you how to deal with challenges in life in a spiritual way. Because to deal adequately with it, you need spiritual power. Without spiritual power, you will continue to identify with the mind, which we are not factually. We are not emotions, thinking, feeling, and willing. Because something is directing it, and that's the intelligence. That the intelligence is directing. It's higher. But also we are not the intelligence. There's something what directs the intelligence. And that's the soul who desires, who become attached. So we can work on the level of the mind, on the level of the intelligence, or the level of the soul. We are speaking on working on the level of the soul. And the first thing is understanding the basic instruction of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna has also big challenges very big challenges. He has to fight a war, and he has to kill his grandfather, Vishmadev, who is his greatest well-wisher. So it's very difficult for him. So many challenges and he does not want to do it. He says to Krishna, I cannot do my duty. And he gives so many reasons why not doing his duty. He's saying to Krishna, yes, how can I kill my family? But he's a military man, like a police officer. A police officer sees someone breaking in a house. And the police officer looks at, I know this guy. That is the son of this lady, who is my good friend. If I'm going to arrest him, he's going to get a criminal record. He never gets a job. And his mother will suffer like anything. So I'm not going to arrest him. Is that a good officer? No. Arjuna, or all this gurus at the other side, they had transgressed all the rules of religion, transgressors, and they should be removed from their position as rulers. It was his duty, and Krishna said, you have to do your duty, but they said, I cannot do my duty. How can I kill my family? Krishna, would you kill Sandipani Muni, your teacher? And you're asking me to kill my teacher, Dronacharya? He gives so many arguments but still, he's a military man, he has to do his duty. So how to deal with it? And Krishna explains how to deal with it. The first thing is to be able to cope with it. One must understand that on my own power, I cannot transcend these illusions in this material world, that I'm the body and not that I'm the mind, that I'm the intelligence. These are illusions. Because everything is temporary, fleeting. We are here not for so long. Yesterday I was 15-year-old. Now I'm 65. It's going very quick, I assure you. Yeah, not for long. And 40 years ago, I had so many problems, issues with people that now, 40 years later, people are not there anymore. They're all dead. So what with the problems? It's all gone. So all these problems are very temporary. But to come to the point of getting out of this illusion, we need spiritual strength to control the mind and the senses. And to get that spiritual strength, first, we have to accept in our life the guidance of the source of everything, which is Krishna. So we have to surrender to Krishna, or surrender to the spiritual master, who is just representative. So we have to surrender to Prabhupada, his instructions. We have to take that very serious. That's the first thing. And then Krishna, after Arjuna has surrendered to Krishna, Krishna says, not Vevam Chatunasam Natvam Nemi Chanati Dana Shivana Bhavishma Savavayamataparam. He said, you, Arjun, all these kings here, and me, we have existed in the past, we are existing now, we are existing in, we will not cease to exist in the future. So, Krishna starts with giving good news. We are not a body. We are eternal. That's good news. But in the next verse, he gives the bad news. Deinesmin sadadi kamlam chavam cha tatadi andara praptirdias tatranamuyati. It says, you think you are the body, Arjun, a body that changes constantly, from boyhood to youth, adult, little older children, and then you get old, and then very old, and then you have to leave the body. But all this first lesson is you have to tolerate all these changes. So the body changes, our situation changes, but we should not change. We should identify with our spirit soul and with our relationship with Krishna. Prabhupada came to America, but with his consciousness, did he become American? No. He remained, he did not accept the American way of life. He remained with his consciousness in Vrindavan. So that's the central point that, be part of the society, but remain apart. Be part, but be apart. With our consciousness, we should not absorb ourselves in all these issues in society. Stay aloof from that. But for that, you need spiritual power. If you want spiritual power to come, Krishna says in the next verse, Matra svashtkantia sutashna sukadukada agamapi nanityastanstatiksasvabharata. He says, Arjuna, you should tolerate this happiness and distress in your life. Happiness, so-called happiness and distress. Because this happiness and this distress is for the body, which is temporary and which you will lose soon. So you have to tolerate like heat in the summer and cold in the winter. And then Krishna says, Yamina vyatatante te purusham purushakshava samudukaskamdiyam somitattvaya kalpate. And if you can tolerate this happiness and distress, then you are ready for liberation, ready to come of the transcendental or the spiritual platform. But to attain that platform, we need to get control over our senses, our mind, and so on. And that's the characteristic of someone who is on the spiritual platform. And what's the characteristic? You have nectar of instruction here on the screen. What is nectar of instruction? Nectar of instruction is a detail, gives us a summary of the process of devotional service. Because that's the way how to transcend this happiness and distress. Arjuna in the 14th chapter will ask Krishna, how do I transcend these modes of nature, all this troublesome situation? That he says, Mamsya vyabhacharana bhakti yogana sevata sakatan samatichitam brahma bhuya kalpate. By performing pure devotional service without any motivation, just to please Krishna, you transcend the modes immediately that you transcend the modes, and that's the conclusion of the Gita. Krishna says, when you follow my instructions, my highest instruction, Manmana bhav madbhakto machi mam namaskar. Always think of me. If you always think of me, you become my devotee. And you worship me always. When you worship me always, yes, then you are on the transcendental platform. But we must do that always. Whatever you do for Krishna. And try not to be attached to the results. We do our best to get the best result. Because I'm doing my work for Krishna. I'm doing my study for Krishna. Therefore, it must be first class. It's not ordinary work. But the result is up to Krishna. And you will see that if you have that approach in your life, to do it for Krishna out of love, then Krishna empowers you. Empowerment comes from there. But if we think I'm doing my best on my own, without Krishna, then the transcendental factor is not there. And you will not be able to come over the illusion that we are in. It's not possible. It's not possible. If we say, I do it on my own, Krishna say, okay, you do. Good luck. But then we get lost. But to come to that platform of always thinking of Krishna and serving Krishna without material motivation, out of love, we must go to a process. Devotional service is a process. And if you apply the process properly, just by applying it, most of your suffering is going. By applying it properly. But it's a science how to apply this devotional service properly. And that science is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. It's a very elaborate work. But because many times we don't have the time to delve into it because we have many things to do, that Rupa Goswami, who wrote a summary. And that summary is called Nectar of Instruction. And the first 4 verses are the most important. If you can apply these 4 verses in your life, you know how to transcend the modes. If you don't apply them, you will fail. Very simple. This is the essence. And the first verse describes someone who has transcended the modes of nature. Vatsho vegam manasakoda vegam, jiva vegam utarapasta vegam. Etam vijanyo vijaita dira, sarvam apimam pritivam nasisyat. Can you go down for the translation? Yeah. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the action of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So one who can tolerate, especially, the urge to speak, the mind's demands, that the mind's demands, that is many times the problem that we face. That this is mentioned in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Uttaret atman atmanam atmanam avasadiyat atmeva atmanabhan bandhu atvetva repoch atmanam. With the mind, you can degrade yourself or uplift yourself. The mind can be your friend of your enemy. Many times the mind is your friend. Mostly the mind is our enemy. We are living with an enemy, and we have to make the enemy our friend. And it requires a lot of education. Because we are not the mind, but emotions come up into the mind, attachment and aversion. And these are obstacles for spiritual life. Attachment and aversion. Krishna says it in 334 of Bhagavad Gita. The attachment and aversion, raga and dvesha. Krishna says that they are paripantina, obstacles in spiritual life. Because what are these attachment and aversions of the body about? We are attached to what gives pleasure to the body and the mind. We are averse to what gives us pain, what makes us fearful, what makes us not feel so good. But that attachment and aversion is our enemy. Because that means if you are under control of attachment and aversion, you are identifying with the body, not with the soul. That's the problem. The soul is, according to Vedanta Sutra, Anandamaya Vyasat. It is meant for pleasure. But that is not the pleasure of this world. It's a higher pleasure. The soul belongs to the higher energy, the spiritual energy. And the mind is the lower energy, material energy. So we are higher, the soul, but we have become under control of the lower energy. And that's not normal. We are higher energy. We should control the lower energy. But we have become subservient to the material world. But we have become a servant of our mind and our senses and all these things. But the soul is a servant of Krishna. That's higher. And to come to the spiritual platform, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmas tu mamparta devim pragati ashrita. We have to become a Mahatma. A Mahatma means one who knows how to connect with the spiritual energy, how to connect with Krishna, which is the source of all spiritual ecstasy and bliss. How to do that? And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in the next verse, how to do that. Satatam kirtayantamam yatanta sadhitavita. Always chant my glories, hear about me, speak about me, remember me. That how to do that. So how to connect with the spiritual energy? The first verses here of Nectar of Instruction explains how to do that, how to connect with the spiritual energy. But Rupa Goswami said, there are 6 things you should stop doing, and 6 things you should do. And then when you do these things, then you should associate with devotees and cultivate spiritual relationships. And that changes your life. It's very important. So we go to the next verse that Atyara Payasya Prajalpaniya Marga Jnana Sangam Salonyam Shan Satvir Bhakti Prashidati. That's the first verse. The next verse. If you go down, you can go to the next verse. Down, 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 further down, 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 down. Yeah, text 2. There we are. Atyara Prayasya Prajalpaniya Marga Jnana Salonyam Satvir Bhakti Vinashati. Translation, go down. So there are 6 principles. So once devotional service is spoiled when it becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. You will see if you stop doing these 6 things, immediately your suffering will go down because it is a cause of your suffering. Yes. So the first is eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. So for first, eating more than necessary. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one must be balanced, not eating too much, not too less. If you eat too much, you sleep too much. If you sleep less, if you eat less than you need, you don't sleep at night. So that's balance. Don't overeat. If you overeat, you get not only health problems, but also spiritually, you cannot control your senses. Lust comes in your system. So just eat what you need. What do I need? Everyone is different. That Bhima, he needed a bit more than the other of the Pandavas. When Draupadi was cooking, after offering, she gave half to Bhima, and the other portions she divided for the others. So what do we need? But Bhima had big hands, very big hands. So you can eat, Ayurveda say, you can eat what you can digest in one time. You can eat what you can hold in your 2 hands. That you can eat in your one time. Yeah, of course you can. But 2 hands, yeah. But what you can eat, what you can carry in your 2 hands, from that in the morning, you can eat 60%. At noontime, 8, 9, 90, maximum 100%. But in the evening, only 10 to 20%. Be careful in the evening, because that gives problems in the night and spoils your devotional life. So eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. So a devotee lives simple, that simple living, high thinking. We get what we need, but not much beyond that. It's not necessary. That live simple. That collecting all these things, that it's useless, it's all matter. Many devotees, when devotees in the beginning, when they became devotees, they had so many books, they throw all the books out, only Prabhupada's books. It's simple. You don't need all these things and this stuff. Simple living. But you can get what you need to live comfortably. No problem. But don't endeavor. If you have 1 house, that's okay. You need 1 house. You don't need 2 hours. You You have one car, you don't need four. That because and the next thing says, over endeavor for mundane things that are difficult to obtain. That for example, you have a job, you are gaining $4,000 a month. That's and you take a mortgage for a house for $3,600 a month. Is that a good thing to do? No, that is going to give problems. So we don't put ourselves in the problems there. Don't over endeavor for all these mundane things. You have an iPhone, and it's not that you need every year the latest one. No, just wait a few years. That don't over endeavor for these things. That's the message. And talking unnecessary about mundane subject matters. That's called prajalpa. Prajalpa. You talk about, yes, did you hear this, but this person, this, the last news, that and that. We don't do that. We must learn like be like Vidura. Vidura went 30 years on pilgrimage, and he knew that Krishna had left the planets, but he's finished. He is visiting Hastinapura after 30 years. But the Pandavas are not aware that Krishna left the planet, but he didn't tell them. You don't have to be the bearer of bad news. They will get to know it anyway. So don't speak about all these subject matters about the latest film and this and that. It's not going to help you in your life. Life is stuttering. Focus on what's necessary to do your job. That's okay. Well, everything for your job and so on. But otherwise, take care of Krishna conscious activities. And then practicing rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for spiritual advancement, or rejecting rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently. What are rules and regulations? Krishna conscious persons chant the holy name, a certain number of rounds every day. And they follow these four relative principles. You know them. These four relative principles are important to follow. Because if you don't follow them, then you cannot become Krishna conscious. It's like a bucket with a hole in, and you put water in, it goes out. It doesn't. You will not get the power to control your mind. It will not be there. So don't follow them for the sake of following. Oh, I have to do it, but I don't want. No, we should be enthusiastic about it. And know we are pleasing Krishna with that, because if you are not following these regulative principles, then you enjoy straight in sense enjoyment, which is a cause of suffering. Sense enjoyment is a cause of suffering. Then associating with more worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. Don't associate with people who speaks about sense gratification and sex and the opposite sex and all these things. Stay away. They are going to follow. They speak about their perverse desires, and that enters your mind. It's not good. And don't be greedy for mundane achievements. Be happy with what comes. on his own accord, or be happy with which you get without great endeavor, without over endeavor. So that's also important. So these are 6 things not to do. And then we have 6 things to do. The next verse. Utsa nisya tat karma pavartanat. Sangho tyaga sato vrite satpir bhaktir prasidati. Yes, and now the translation down. 6 things we should do. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles, Shravana Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archam Varnam Dasyam Sakyanam Atman Vednam, abandoning the association of non-devotees and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So the first thing is we should be enthusiastic in devotional service. Utsaha. That enthusiastic to chant the holy names of Krishna, enthusiastic to see and serve the deity, enthusiastic to hear about Krishna. That enthusiasm, that will help us to transcend the modes of nature and to come out of our suffering. That, of course, to be enthusiastic, you must have taste. You must have taste. But therefore, it's important that you associate with each other, that you associate with those who have taste. It's important that you regularly read Prabhupada's books and engage in devotional service. Factually, the taste comes from the service itself. Then endeavoring with confidence, that confidence is important. We have to accept Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita. In the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada writes that one should at least accept that theoretically that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Theoretically. And then when you read, your faith will grow. So we have to get faith in Krishna's words. And that Krishna says your body changes. Yes. Krishna does not say only for the Hindus their body changed. Not the Christians. And Krishna says, one who takes birth will die. Only the Hindus die? No? No, this is universal knowledge, and we should have faith in it. That we may not understand some things, but that will become clear. Because to understand Bhagavad Gita, you need transcendental intelligence. Buddhi Yoga, Krishna calls the Dami Buddhi Yoga. I give both Buddhi Yoga. When Tesham Satayuknam Bhajam Pritibhukam, if you serve me with a little love, then I give you. So by devotional service, it comes that intelligence, Gandhi. And Gandhi, you realize, I'm not this mind. I'm not this body. I have to control this mind. This happens, and my mind says, no, you have to feel sorry, you have to cry, that it's just the mind. That crying will not help you. A relative dies and people cry. Does that help someone? No. It's just sentiment. Your relative died, but you are the next to be executed. You will also die soon. And that's the reality. So why be sentimental about it? So that intelligence comes, suddenly. You feel I'm not this body. I'm the consciousness in this body. And you feel Krishna's presence in your heart. You start to think in terms in terms of consultation with Krishna in the heart. Krishna is in the heart. Sarvasya Samre, Dishani Vishnamata Shmitrana. I'm in your heart, Krishna says. For me comes remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness. That everything you know, it's good. You have to do an exam. Krishna gives you the intelligence. Good to know. You pray to Krishna. You say, I will do it for you. And when I graduate, I will use my diploma to work for you. Krishna will help you, but you have to do it and also. And be patient. Dayat, patience. Prabhupada explains a woman cannot, after marriage, immediately get a child. She has to be patient. So patience. We are contaminated by these modes of nature, and we identify with this body, and by that we are fools. Krishna says we are fools. Because everything is done by material nature, but we think we are in control. We are a bit in control, but not much. There's a bigger controller, Krishna, who controls everything factually. 1861, Isparsvarva Bhutanam Redesayuna Tishtati Brahmayam Samabhutanam Yandrudaya Maya. Krishna says, I'm seated in everyone's heart, and I control the wanderings of every living entity who are seated as in a yantra, a machine made of material energy. So we have to be patient and cooperate with Krishna, and Krishna will cooperate with us. And then act according to the regulative principles. That's the devotional service we will do. And there are 9 kinds of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandam, Dasyam, Atman, Nivedanam. And the first 3 are called Bhagavad Vidhi or Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Vidhi. And the last 6 are called Pancharataka Vidhi. The first 3 is hearing about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, and then you will remember Krishna. So we have to do that every day. That's our medicine we have to take to get out of the illusory energy, to get out of the control of the mind. Hearing about Krishna. When we hear about Krishna, we understand we are not Krishna. When we hear about Krishna, we understand we are a parcel of Krishna. When we hear about Krishna, we understand we are a servant of Krishna. When we hear about Krishna, we start to serve Krishna. And we develop healthy by hearing the proper desire. It's just to act out of love for Krishna and not asking anything back. So if we do it with material desires, that Krishna may fulfill our material desires, but still you remain in this world. It's much more powerful if you serve Krishna without asking something in return. He knows your desires already. It's in your heart. You serve him just out of love. And then Krishna empowers you really. That's the motivation. The motivation must be now right for doing that. And then the last 6 items, Pada, Segnam, Uitsnambanam, Dasyam, Sakramam, Atmani, Vedanam, they are not mentioned here, but these are also the regulative principles. These regulative principles means worship of the deity. Archanam is deity worship. Vandanam is praying to Krishna. Learn to pray to Krishna. In everything before whatever you do, you pray to Krishna, asking him for his blessings and for his empowerment, and ask him to protect you against the material energy. For whatever you do. And therefore we pray before doing something, always to the spiritual master. Om Mahyanati Manasyanati Nansanas Makam Saksuan Militamina Tasmi Maisi Nama. That and then abandoning the association of non-devotees, that was also in the previous verse. So important. And it does not mean we cannot associate with colleagues at work and so on, but we should not take over their habits. That we should, following the footsteps of the previous acharyas, develop an exemplary character. And when you do that, in the previous verse, then you are ready for developing nice relationships between devotees. And that's explained in the next verse. If you don't do these things, relations will be not so nice. You are not on a spiritual platform. Next verse. That 6. There are 6. It's a long verse. It's good to read that also. Tadati pradhinanti kuyamakyati prichati punkte bojayati shiva satvidam pritilakshyanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's minds in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee to another. So 6 things we must do to have nice relationships with each other. Offering gifts and receiving gifts. Gifts can be of many kinds, but mainly we give gifts related to Krishna consciousness. That we can give, like even to non-devotees, we can give books of Prabhupada. That's the way to associate with non-devotees. When we don't accept their association, we give our association. We give them books of Prabhupada and prasad, all these things. But this gift is important. We see it in Krishna consciousness. If we visit one another, you bring flowers to be offered to the deities. Bring always something, gifts, and revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially. That's important between devotees, that we do that in a Krishna conscious way, that you can discuss with it. So I have that challenge in life. So what do the scriptures say? How do I solve it? And you discuss it based on the scriptures. And Krishna will give you intelligence. It's very nice. But these relationships, and of course accepting prasad, offering prasad, but especially revealing one's mind, must be done on those who are on the equal platform. And because these 6 loving relationships is done by equals. And by that, we develop friendship. And that's the purpose. If we develop friendship in Krishna consciousness, the relationships become very nice. in the beginning of the 90s, the first time I went to the temple, I was a chartered accountant. I went in my confection suit to the temple. I was not yet a devotee, but I was reading Prabhupada's books, and I was interested to meet devotees. So I went to the temple, and for the first time I met a devotee, and the first thing I remarked was what is different from other people is that he was not putting himself forward. He was interested to hear what I had to say. He was listening with attention. That most people have no time. But he took the time to hear what I have to say. So we have to take the time to hear each other. Even if we don't agree, whatever, but we should hear. They call it also emphatic listening. You hear. And then he was offering me prasad, sweets. So it became very sweet. But then I was thinking, we had a talk about Krishna conscious subject matters, but then, of course, my mind was impure. And I was thinking, they are so kind with me, but what do they want from me? Because that's in a material relationship, you are exploiting each other. You give to me, I take from you. That's mostly. But that's material. Spiritual is you only give. So I was thinking like that, but I could not find any motive why he would exploit me. By that, the relationships become very sweet. And that's something we need to learn. That deal with each other with the purpose of sharing Krishna consciousness, to prasad, to discussing the philosophy, the challenges. And that's how we make spiritual advancement. Without association of devotee, it doesn't work. So you should come together regularly and discuss the philosophy, especially these first verses of Nectar of Instruction. And that will help you in your first serious steps for Krishna consciousness. And if you become fixed in that, you will be stronger. You will be stronger to face all these challenges. Because you are not alone. Krishna is behind you. And we should have confidence in him. That whatever happens in our life, good or bad, is Krishna's mercy, if you take shelter of him. One way or another. Krishna gives us not always what we want, it gives what's good for us, for making spiritual advancement. So that was my talk. Any question, comment?
Ask questions.
I have one question. You said we should pray to Krishna, like if we want something, if we are in a problem. But personally, I don't feel like praying to Krishna, but sometimes I feel like I should pray that Krishna, please help me, I'm in a problem. But then I feel like Krishna knows everything. So why should I ask? If I will ask, he will be like, why are you asking? I know everything. So I'm in this confusion, like should I pray or should I not pray and ask?
It's in your heart. It's good to accept him as a person. You can speak to him. Because it's not that mostly we are confused. I can ask Krishna, please help us to come out of this confusion. Communicate. Krishna will be pleased. It's like this man who did puja. He did puja and there were different deities. He was not a devotee of Krishna. He was worshipping all these deities, Durga, Ganesh, and then Krishna was there. So at a certain moment, he wanted the favors of Ganesh to get riches, and he was offering incense to Ganesh, but through the wind, the smoke of the incense went to the nostrils of the deity of Krishna. So he took cotton and put it in the nose of Krishna, in the nostrils, and he continued his puja because it was meant for Ganesh. Then in the night he had a dream. Krishna appeared in his dream and said, I'm very pleased with you that you accept me at least as a person. So we should accept Krishna as a person and speak to him. Vandanam. And that you find in the Bhagavatam so many prayers of Queen Kunti, that prayers of Akrura, prayers of the Prashetas, Brahma's prayers, so many prayers. So Vandanam is one of the aspects of communicating with Krishna. So we communicate with Krishna. Is that okay? Good. Something else?
Maharaj, I have a question. You mentioned regarding the collecting more funds. We should not be like conscious about always like or collecting more funds, or maybe like monetarily thinking monetarily and financially always. We should only try to earn that much which is sufficient for us, and also we should always live a simple life and like believe and have a high thing. But mostly we try to do that. I'm like talking from my perspective. But my question is like, I also think in a way I should be prepared for any rainy day scenarios. Like now everything is going good. I should have enough money in my account so that if any situation comes in, if someone needs me, my friend, or in my family or anyone, so I should have that money to help them out. And I also, if I have more money, I can maybe serve better. So how I should approach this? What is your perspective on this? How I should approach this mindset? What I have?
My perspective is no value. I'm a nonsense. But I can give you the perspective of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami says, if you have any profit, use 50% for Krishna, 25% for family members, and 25% you put aside for later. That's the formula for Rupa Goswami. So it is not bad to put things for later. Like in the Vedic system, at the age of 50, we should take Vanapasta, get out of the family life. But you need sufficient funds to retire. So it's good also to work on that. But like 25% maximum of your income. That's what Rupa Goswami says. Don't over-endeavor for it, but it's important. I guess.
And Maharaj, I think we have a question from the group. Read it out.
Maharaj, you said profit. So let's say if someone is doing a job, then from the paycheck, for a businessman, there is a profit, but for someone working, it's their monthly paycheck comes.
Yeah.
The 50% of the check goes to.
Yeah, of course, but the 50%, you have to understand, you go shopping, okay? You shop for Krishna. And then all the food and the preparations, you prepare it for Krishna. And then you offer it to him. That's part of the 50%. You need flowers for the puja. You need to pay from this 50% the mortgage of your house. Because your house has become a temple, because Krishna is there. We should consider the house belongs to Krishna.
Yes.
And you pay for the temple. So in that way, Krishna said, Yat karos, yat asnas, yat yos, dadas, yat tapas, yat account, yat tat kosmamat achtanan. Whatever you do, whatever you give away, do it as a sacrifice for me. That's the principle. Yeah. Shakhnachta karma noyata lokoyam karma bandhanam. Do everything for the sake of Vishnu or Krishna. Then you don't get karma bandhana, you don't get reactions that can come from this 50%. That of course also donations, good give donations to the temple. That is everyone's duty also
Yes.
to do that.
I would settle for 25%. 15%, no problem. To the temple. We have big mortgage to pay.
Maharaj, we have a question from Mayank. What is the best way to interact with non-devotees who might be family or friends and very immersed in Maya without negatively judging them?
I would say we act with our family members and so on in an affectionate way. But if they are contrary to Krishna conscious principle, they want to do activities contrary to Krishna conscious principles, we take a polite distance. And that's something we have to do. So interacting with non-devotees, to non-devotees, give your association. Don't take their association. Don't take their association means don't do what they do. Otherwise you can talk, no problem, but don't do what they do. And without negatively judging them, that's very important. Don't criticize them. Mostly before we came to Krishna consciousness, we were in the same boat. And one prisoner in the jail is criticizing another. That if we criticize them, then we develop their faults in our heart. That's not good. We should see the positive side. If they do something for Krishna, something devotional, or something pious, we should appreciate and highlight that. But anyway, that's a few points I can say, but it's of course a whole life experience.
Maharaj. Maharaj, one more question related to this I had is like you mentioned about giving gifts to non-devotee, like book of Srila Prabhupada or Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So also like we have few colleagues or like few non-devotees who have kind of like brain fog regarding spirituality, like they are not much into that. So before giving any such kind of gift, I always think like, will they respect it? Will they keep it in a manner we do? Because we treat it as very, very holy and sacred book. So I always have this dilemma. So what we should do in this scenario?
We should follow Krishna's instruction. Krishna says in the 18th chapter that one who gives his secret to my devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. But one should not give this knowledge to those who are not austere, not my devotees, who are envious of me, who are sinful. So, but mostly that's quite easy. If you try to distribute a book, just try to distribute a book. You will find out very quickly either the person is receptive or envious. There is nothing in between. If they are envious, leave them alone. Don't give them a book. Because then their offenses towards Krishna will only increase. They will not accept that. So that is what Krishna is saying. So we have to seek out those who are receptive. Prabhupada went to America. He found those who are receptive. All these hippies, they gave already the American style of life. They gave it already up, but they had no better alternative. And Prabhupada gave them the better alternative. So they were ready. Also those who are vegetarian, because they are a little more coming out of passion, more a little goodness. They are receptive because they are already vegetarian. Those who are pious, they will also accept. But those who have strong demonic qualities, you need some piety from your previous life. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that helps you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Something else?
Maharaj, when we do chanting, so sometimes it's like you cannot sit and do chanting. Sometimes we walk, we do chanting. Like when I'm traveling in bus, I do chanting, or I just walk somewhere, I do chanting. But then sometimes I feel like this is not what chanting should done with it. It should be attentive. I sometimes don't. I can listen to the words, but I am thinking about something else. But then after that, I feel like I'm not good for doing this, and then I leave chanting, and then later on I feel bad that I'm not a good person who's doing chanting properly attentively, and then later on I feel more bad, and then again I feel like I failed in this devotional service, and I don't know, is it fine to like we have to complete 16 rounds? So is it okay just to complete 16 rounds, or it should be attentive, or you can do it like while walking, while you're going somewhere, or it should be done like you have to sit and do it?
You have different ways of chanting. You can chant in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Oh yeah. Or you can chant in passion. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Or you chant and you make your shopping list. Or you can chant in goodness with attention. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare. But that's also not sufficient. Someone asked my Guru Maharaj Bhakti Charamach when he was still with us and said, what does it mean chanting Hare Krishna? And he said, chanting Hare Krishna means saying to Krishna, I love you. So try to put all your affection in the chanting and feel Krishna's presence. And then you will benefit. Otherwise, the benefit is very little. Put all your love in the chant, everything you have. Chanting like a baby cries for the mother. The baby cries. It's focused on the mother. The baby wants only the mother. Even the father is many times at loss, cannot stop the child crying, only the mother can. It's focused that, and it's crying out of help. We should feel helpless because we are in this material world. We cannot get out with our consciousness out of this illusion alone. So we cry out to Krishna. But if you think everything is going okay and I'm chanting and my mind is somewhere else, that is offensive chanting, and that doesn't give the required result. But sometimes the mind is so wild that we cannot concentrate. But we try our best. Krishna will see it. But try to put affection, fighting against the mind, then it becomes a whole fight. But if you put your love in, automatically it becomes controlled. So that is the main guideline, I would say. Okay. Good. Thank you very much. I was very happy to be with you, and I hope it was helpful.